If you can dream but not make dreams your master, if you can think but not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same. If you can dream and not make dreams your master. One of the difficulties I have with so many of the graduation speeches where people stand in front of crowds of young graduates and tell them, hang in there, stick with your dream, that's what you've got to do, don't give it up, and your dream can come true. It does seem to me to be a very, very selfish thought. Many years ago, for me it seems now as a headmaster, when I was in Lesotho, which is a landlocked country in the Drakensberg surrounded by South Africa. It was my first headship, and a young boy was sent to me in my office because he either didn't work well or he had misbehaved. I don't know what it was, but his name was Tabiso, and he came to my office for the headmaster miracle. It's always supposed to take place when you send someone to see the headmaster. And I sat opposite Tabiso. He was about 15 years of age, and I said to him, it's a little bit like a game of chess when your headmaster meets a student. And I said to him, my opening gambit, if you like, was, Tabiso, what do you want to be when you leave school? What's your ambition? What's your dream? That's the opening gambit of all headmasters. And Tabiso didn't think about it very hard. He immediately leapt in. I want to be a professional basketball player. Now the problem with that was that Tabiso was what we call vertically challenged. He was about a meter too short to be a professional basketball player. And although he was good on our school court, broken and not very smooth, he wasn't good enough to become a professional basketball player. That much was certain. So I said to him, Tabiso, if you were not going to become a professional basketball player, because so many, perhaps millions of young men twice your size want to become professional basketball players, and the number of basketball opportunities are very, very low. What do you say to that? I moved my piece. And Tabiso took the Fifth Amendment, which is what students do in the headmaster's office. They say nothing. They sit there glumly and just stare openly at me. And that was his move. So I knew I had him. So I said, Tabiso, on the outside chance that you don't become a professional basketball player, what is it that you would like to become? Check. Quick as a flash, Tabiso answered, I want to become a rap singer, mate. And he had me because I had no idea at that time what a rap singer was. I knew it couldn't have involved work because my dreams also didn't involve hard work. And this is the nasty piece, really. If he had said to me that he wanted to be an astrophysicist or a neurologist or even an astronaut, I would have accepted that. I would have said, well, Tabiso, you have to get back into class, work hard, and who knows? He had less chance of becoming those than becoming a professional basketball player, of course. However, that wasn't the miracle that we were looking for. And I feel quite bad about that. For headmasters, it's a little bit self-delusional. Did I dare think that I could change this boy's dream? Did I think that I could tweak one or two things and he would be a changed person in the classroom? I don't think so. And I worry about dreams. I think they're a bit of a generational thing. If I go back and look at my own grandfather, because I wonder what the dreams were like for people in the several generations before me. And I know if I go back and look at my own grandfather, his dream was to just stay alive. And that's because at the age of 16 he went to the Boer War in South Africa. He put his age forward and he fought for a couple of years there, and then he went to the northwest frontier of India. And he finally left the British Army in 1913. Not a good idea, because within 6 months he was back in the army and fighting on the Western Front. Fortunately, he was wounded 3 or 4 times, because if he wasn't, he probably wouldn't be here or survive, and I probably wouldn't be here now. Now, my father, who had his war, his dream would have been very different, because he wasn't under such continuous threat levels as my grandfather. And his dream, when he came back from the Great War that he fought in, would have been to get a job for life. The same dream that virtually everybody in his home village, a mining community in South Wales, would have had. He succeeded. He didn't go down the mines. He got a job in a factory. And because of the dreams of both my grandfather and father, I am here today as a headmaster. So I'm going to try and use this wonderful machine and put, that's probably the dullest looking visual that you'll get for the duration of the day. And if I put my grandfather's dream into Maslow's hierarchy of human needs, it would fit into the physiological. And the physiological human need is that we live, that we breathe, that we eat, that we sleep. We do all those things to stay alive. That was his dream, and he probably made that. Well, he did. He'd stayed alive, as I said. And the next level of human needs would be safety and security. And my father, once he came back from the war, decided what he needed to do was to be safe and secure, and that was the job for life. This hierarchy of human needs was something that it's a model about how we as human beings need to fulfill one level of need before we move on to the other. And as I look at that, I'm the 3rd generation, and I wonder where my dreams fitted in that. Right up there, esteem. I wanted to be famous. It was very important that I had the esteem of others. And self-actualization, which means that I managed to achieve and fulfilled my potential. In this case, I thought I could paint something like the Mona Lisa, and I would be made for life very famous, or discover the lost gold of the Incas, which didn't happen. In the modern world, the world of my grandchildren, and I have 3 of them, there is a slight complication to Maslow's hierarchy, because the human need that we seem to want so much after the physiological and the safety and security right in the 21st century is a smartphone. And a smartphone is an important human need to us, it seems, because it helps us to get to esteem and self-actualization very quickly. I use that little thing there. That's only the 2nd time in my life that I've used that. It's an emoji. I used it yesterday in a sort of testing the equipment. And I don't know if it's me, but that looks one of the most evil-looking things I've seen. And when I see it popping up from time to time, I wonder what's going on. The thing about smartphones is that they enable young people to move very quickly towards esteem and self-actualization. They enable young people to invent themselves, to put a face on the world that is perhaps not their face, but the face they would like to show. And the really fiendishly Faustian bit about social media is that we can calibrate our success, can't we? Our esteem. They're inbuilt measurements of how much esteem we are getting. And how wonderful is that for an emerging, fragile, young brain of an 18-year-old, or a 16-year-old, or a 12-year-old, and even a 9-year-old. Because there is a dark side, of course, to social media, and that is self-doubt, disappointment, depression, desperation, and despair. We could be forgiven, I think, if we thought that the purpose of life was about happiness. Social media sells happiness. It's a currency it's the currency of social media is happiness. And it's so wonderful for young people to feel that they are good looking, they've got their nice images out there, they're well dressed, they do wonderful things, they travel a lot, and in this world of malnourishment, that they eat well. Because I will never understand why we take photographs of plates of food and plaster them all over our social media. I think if there is a default position in life, it is not happiness. Unfortunately, too many young people, in fact all of us, think that it's our right to be happy, that life is all about happiness. I don't think that's true. I think if life had a default position, it would be struggle. We are the alpha species on this planet, and we got to where we are because of struggle, not because we were chasing happiness. Every day is a struggle for all of us. And young people who are on the precipice, about to leave school and enter the immediate and quite frankly scary world of independence, need to grasp this inconvenient truth. That life is about struggle, it's about choice, it's about decision making, every moment of the day, every waking moment. That's the reality that they have to face. There are no shortcuts, and I will take that off there because I think that it's been hanging around too long. There are no shortcuts to what really should be there, belonging and love. Because life isn't about me, and life isn't about you, it's about us, together. So, for a life of fulfillment, we need to make an effort not to rush to some sort of dream that we've got in front of us, or to take an easy life, to possibly go to the top in a lift. We need to consider what life is really all about and help one another along the way. And if you're in a lift like this, going straight to the top, and many of us are doing quite well, I think it's our duty to stop that lift and get out and help those who are struggling up the stairs, however momentarily. And the point really is this, and I want to change what Maslow really put up as his basic premise. The physiological side of life, to live, is about not us living, it's about us respecting all life. Respecting the environment in which we live, respecting other people's lives, respecting the ocean, helping one another. Safety and security, it's about making sure that other people are well, are safe, are secure. It's not about making ourselves safe and secure. And belonging and love. It's very necessary, I think, as young people, that we understand to go out into the world, we need to embrace others. Because when we embrace, they embrace us. And life is really about embracing others and about love. And if you can manage all that and get to esteem where you value other people, where you value them as human beings, where you don't value yourself above others, where you realize that you have no more worth than anybody else, no more right to life than anybody else on this planet. And if you can do all that, then I believe you get to self-actualization. Because it is so important that we understand that to get to the very top, we've got to give at every stage along the way. There's no shortcut to get there. And if you stay in that lift, and many of us are in the lift, and if you are comfortable being surrounded by people that you don't talk to very often, or at all in a lift, if you don't interact with the world that's around you, if you go straight to the top, if that's what you want, if you do all that, you might actually find that when you get there, there is no there. And if there's one thing that we need to remember, and as young people they need to remember when they go out into the world, that is that life is about the journey, not about the destination. We really need to embrace others, share the journey, get out of that lift, walk with others, take the hard road. If you do not challenge yourself, if life is too easy, then you end up with no achievement. And if you fail to achieve, you will not have any self-actualization whatsoever. And so many people have arrived at a destination towards the end of their lives and possibly realized that that is not what it's all about. One of the most important messages, I believe, about this journey that we call life, possibly this lift that we call life, or the stairs that we take. But if you go in the lift, just please be aware that there is no down button. You can't unwind. If you ask people, old people, before we put them into homes, what they miss most about life or what they value most about life, they'll tell you it's the journey. And that's really, really important to explain to young people. And so I don't like this emphasis on dreams, because I think that dreams are incredibly self-centered, and that's not what life is all about. The other day I was sitting on my balcony and I looked out across at a tree, and I saw a kingfisher perched on the end of a dead branch. I watched it for a long time. After a while it began to sing, and it sang and it sang. And I realized when I was watching it, because I was wondering who it sang for, I realized with a flash of insight that all headmasters have from time to time, that kingfisher's song, not very melodious, series of notes that just rise on one extended note, it had to sing because it was alive. Because it lived, it sang. And because it sang, it lived. And then I realized that it sang for me. And it sang for you. And it sang for all life everywhere on this planet. Thank you very much.